Off Track, episode 34. We have a very, very special episode today. This is probably the most special episode that we have conjured up. We've basically summoned the Fixie High Council to tackle some really pressing issues. I have 3 co-hosts today, Mr. Deacon, Mr. Pizza, per usual, and Mr. Tom Mosher will also be acting as one of my co-hosts today, / guests. So thank you, Tom, for being here. As guests today, VIPs, if you will, we have Mr. Master Biko himself, Kareem Shehab. We have Mr. Turf and Grime himself, Mr. Mike Schmitt. And then Mr. Basic Cycle Co. himself, the face of Sky Limit, Tyler Johnson. An absolutely star-studded lineup to tackle the question, what is the difference between FGFS, Trick Track, and Tarck? Why do all these different terms exist in our scene? We're going to get down to the bottom of it. We also have lots of other topics to cover. Probably won't have enough time to get to even half of them because we got some opinionated folks in here. And we also asked our Discord what kind of topics you guys wanted to see covered in this episode. So we're going to be tackling those somewhere throughout this episode. So thank you all, gentlemen, for being here. It's the Off Track alumni episode. All of you have had episodes in our podcast. So thanks for doing this. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us.
This is going to get chaotic really quickly if we allow everybody to just talk at will. It will be like a natural discussion, but I basically want everybody to make their case before we start, and then we can get into more free-flowing discussion here. Let's start with Kareem, since you're at the top of my screen here. Kareem, FGFS, Trick Track, Tarck, what are their places? What are the differences?
So, to me, I feel like Tarck and Trick Track are kind of interchangeable, despite Tom's objections, probably. But they kind of fill the same space in my mind. So, not really much of a difference to me on those. I was thinking a little bit about FGFS versus Trick Track, where that distinction comes from. It's really kind of like hard to say just like one aspect of writing, but I feel like when I see it, I know it kind of thing. And so I think part of that is like the bike that you're on is definitely a big part of it. Like a dual 26, 4-peg freestyle bike is definitely FGFS. And then when you get to the 700C builds is kind of where like the gray area kind of comes in.
Right.
But I would definitely say like, I don't know, if you see like a dual 700 bike that's got a lot of BMX parts, maybe like a riser bar kind of situation, that would kind of indicate a little bit more FGFS style riding to me versus something that's built with more traditional track parts, is maybe more of a Trick Track sort of build. But yeah, also just like the type of riding that the person is doing on it, if they're jumping stairs or doing like flat ground tricks, that's kind of like another difference.
A great case by Kareem, a very logical one in my opinion. From my left to right, let's just go with Mike Schmitt. Make your case.
I would love to. So I would say Tarck is like
popcorn.
Tarck's like you started on track bikes, barely any modifications, potentially a Nitto riser bar, but you're doing tricks on it. It is not necessarily a bike that has anything made on it for tricks at all. I would say Trick Track at the time of the like term trick track and at the time of like the forum was like right around when like bikes were just starting to like have some sort of parts that were very freestyle specific, and bikes even started getting designed like the Milwaukee Bruiser and like some of the like early leader stuff. And so I would say trick track to me is a 700C size frame. There is bottom bracket drop, and it can have some like track parts. It could have all BMX parts. It doesn't matter what tricks you're doing. It's still trick track. I would say like the 700C master frame is a trick track frame, in my opinion. And then when you have a bike that is solely designed for freestyle riding and they're considering the potential to double peg, there is like negative drop or height in the BB above the baseline of where the axles. That's fixed gear freestyle. It could be 29, it could be 700. Like there's not a whole lot of those frames anymore, but it's mostly 26-inch frames. And so I feel like it's the BB height compared to the dropouts that is the differentiator between the two main. And then I would say Tarck is like on the Pista concept, like, or Tarck is like Council of Doom, like Tarck is like some Macaframa stuff, you know, like that's none of those people were like, yeah, Keo had profile cranks, but it wasn't a bike that was like at all considered in the making to do tricks, and most of the things on it were not made for tricks.
I see. So
interesting distinction.
Slight variation from Kareem's answer a bit, especially with the Tarck element brought in. Mr. Co-host Tom Mosher, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, sure. Man, I also have lots of thoughts. Just one quick question with respect to what Kareem was saying. So if someone does the exact same trick set, but on a different bike, like a bunch of flat ground maneuvers, like trick track moves on a 26-inch FGFS bike, what are they?
He cut out for me, dude. He cut out for me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Me too.
We didn't hear the last part of that.
Yes, say it again, Tom.
Oh, yeah. So if you do, like, say you do the exact same tricks, but on the other bike, and you're saying it's the bike that sort of determines what activity or pursuit you're doing, like, what would it be called if you did a whole bunch of flat ground tricks on your 26-inch bike, like exclusively trick track tricks, but on
I remember
fast? Like, what is that then?
A tail whip on a downhill bike is the same shit. The trick name doesn't change. It's like, are you riding a 26-inch DJ frame or are you riding a BMX? Or like, they're totally different things, but you could do all of the same tricks. You could do a bar on a fixed gear, or you could do a bar on a BMX, or you could do a bar on a city bike.
I think Tom is asking what discipline are you then riding if you change the bike? Like if you're doing a 180 bar on a 700C, dual 700C build, are you riding trick track or are you riding FGFS?
Well, but a bar spin's a BMX trick. Am I riding BMX every time I bar once every decade my 26-inch fixed gear?
You got a point.
That's a good point.
It's not.
Well,
BMX,
also,
right?
you can't Keo on a 26-inch bike.
You could do a rollout, which is
I
like
could do pretty good.
Sure. You cannot do a seated Keo on a 26-inch, dual 26-inch fixture freestyle bike. There's no way.
I've seen Devin do it on a BMX
Now they're jacking
bike.
your seat up.
Yeah, you'd have to put your seat up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there are certain tricks that you can't do on, like, trick track tricks that you're not going to be able to do on a
But there
fixture
could be
freestyle.
some gigantic torsoed man with the stumpiest, like, who could do it. Like, it doesn't, it's not, there's no, like, oh, it's impossible. It's like, if you have your seat high enough, your body is shaped in a interesting way for Keo spids. Like, it is possible.
Dude,
Okay, we should circle back. We should circle
But
back.
not
though.
likely.
Yeah.
Tom, you should voice
Before
your.
we go off on these tangents, we got two more
Yeah.
definitions.
yeah.
Tom, you
Yeah,
should
Yeah,
define
okay,
your
sorry,
definition
my bad.
first.
I began with a tangent. Yeah, okay, I mean, it's funny because like we kind of got to this point of wanting to have this conversation because J-Ball and all, we talk several times a week and we talk about all this weird stuff. And then I was kind of wondering, like, how did we get to this point where it began, like Mike was saying, like with this evolution of like taking actual track bikes and putting parts on them, and then they slowly became something else, and then eventually we just started calling that something else FGFS. But then time goes by, and all of a sudden now there's this FGFS and like a resurgence of this other style of riding, and it's so interesting to me how it's boiled out that way. And I don't really think Tarck exists. There's a bunch of fucking haters, so it's all trick track. I'll take my take on that, but I don't know. Sorry, that sounds like hater energy from me, but all the people who have ever claimed Tarck don't really come at it with loving, growing community energy to me. Anyway, so to me, it's like, it's all just very interesting how we wound up at this spot, but it's like, it's so cool that like they're both under our umbrella, and like we own both of these styles of riding, and like nobody else wants them. They're ours. It's cool that we have very distinct now. One is, accepted, and the other is, it's our own invention of exploring, 700C maneuvers.
So you think it's in the the riding or the bike, Tom?
I think it's more like, because I can do a lot of overlap between my bikes. So it's like, I don't know. It is kind of, maybe it's the headspace you're in, like, or even like the setting, like, or is there actually even is it just like what tool you're pulling out from your quiver and playing with that day,
I think so. You cut out a little bit, but I think I know.
We got your
sorry.
point. We got the point.
I think I got the point. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, he said pull out your tool and play with it that day.
Yeah, he did say that.
Thanks, Tyler.
Okay. And then last but not least, Tyler, let's hear your take on it.
So I definitely was like, okay, this is my definition of this. And then Mike shared his, and now I'm like, damn, when did the word Tarck come into existence?
I think it was before there was an actual name Trick Track for a while, and people were just talking about doing tricks.
Like they
on
just spelled track bike wrong to make it. Like,
and there was that website like Tarck, and it had the dude riding on the pool in like a sick photo, and like it was like he was riding close to the pool coping on a full track bike in some sort of California pool, and like
was that the one that Kyle took on Trackosaurus?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's it. It was the Trackosaurus one.
That picture is who's that dude's name? He's a rollerblader.
But like that's the era I feel like is like where people.
It's weird because I don't remember like calling things Tarck in that time period. I don't know what I don't know. We didn't call it anything. We just called it riding or fixed gear or whatever. But I don't like the term Tarck for me. I immediately put it with the like dual 700C. We're doing BMX tricks, but you could still do all the trick track tricks. Like that's where it fits in my head for some reason. Which is really, I mean, that's probably part of why we're having this conversation, because there actually is no real definitions of any of these things. So going into this, if you just asked me before Mike had said anything, I would have said trick track is like a track bike, parking lot tricks. You're maybe bunny hopping up a curb to do a wheelie, whatever, but it's mostly like flat ground tricks and spins and whatever that might be. And then to me, Tarck was like, you can still do some of those tricks on this bike, but you're more leaning into like BMX style, off the ground, bar spins, grinds, whatever. And then fixed gear freestyle is you're likely not doing any foot drag spin, Keo spin on this bike because you just can't do it anymore. The bike has now been set up in order to do BMX style tricks, right? Sure, can somebody maybe do it? Yeah, but most likely not. You're not going to do a death truck with 30-inch wide handlebars, I can tell you that much. So that's kind of how I thought of it beforehand, but now the Tarck piece is more convoluted. So I think the trick track definition and the fixed gear freestyle definitions are pretty clear. It's just that like Tarck piece where I'm like, I don't even know. I feel like that's been called, like we've called things Tarck that were just like anything but that weren't fixed gear freestyle, like once we started moving over to the BMX side of things. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me, or the difference between seeing locations, because I don't think in Seattle we really said like Tarck very much.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, when I guess that style of riding was starting to come back around a little bit, I was calling it Tarck, and then I got a message from Tom Mosher on Facebook saying, "Hey, love what you're doing. Don't call it that."
So you're probably the reason that I think of that as Tarck then, because I wouldn't have said Tarck to anything before. It would have been like, oh, that's Trick Track, and then this is FGFS. So it's actually all J-Ball's fault.
I've got a probably article from 2009 that Tom is actually featured in that uses the word Tarck, and that potentially might be the first use of it from 2009 from the BFF 2009 Roundup article. But it might be
all
caught in 4K.
Can I I feel like I want to follow up. So I feel like I got defensive maybe when I was in the podcast on this whole topic, and defensive to me at the time, like, because Trick Track was all of us that really cared about developing and growing and trying to create something. And at the same time, Tarck Bike, the forum, existed, and it was a bunch of people like maybe kind of sort of like tricks, but there was a lot of just shitting on the people who were actually trying. And to me, that felt too much like I grew up getting bullied a lot, and that felt a whole lot like fucking bullying and just shitty attitudes. And also, like, I'm not too cool for anything. I'm a keener. I'm gonna try hard, and I'm tired of people being too cool and trying to pretend like they're too cool to try hard.
I agree.
Tarck Bike just was that to me. And then Tyler, on that same trip when I first met you in Seattle, when I was up in Portland right before that, I met a whole bunch of the people who frequented Tarck Bike, and the biggest fucking weenies, and they were like trying to like snivel, like be all weird at me, and like that poisoned the term forever to me. Like, I was trying my best, and they were all like, nah, like just like, man, fuck you guys. Like, you don't get to win, okay? Fuck your term, fuck everything. Like, it's not Tarck. I'm not talking. Did not understand at you, Mike. Like, I know you're being so like you're floating different perspectives, and that's fair. And also, like, it is valuable for me to be exposed to different perspectives, because like Tyler, you have a completely different perspective of this term than like clearly me, all like dumb and heated many years ago. But like, it's just that I'm defending my buddies that were trying their best to create something against the people that were too fucking cool for it and shitting on us. That's where this energy comes from.
Yeah, but like it's still, that's what the nomenclature was. Like, culture doesn't change like history does. It doesn't get rewritten by like the people who remain. Like, it's culture is just whatever it is.
But maybe that term was missing. Like, because like I was surprised when I kind of came back and I saw people using the term, but I was like, damn, like, what did they do? Like, what contribution did they make? Just fucking hater energy. Like,
but I would say the bike that J-Ball showed us a photo of that's a Tarck setup. Like, it's not
his Bianchi.
Can I provide maybe a younger perspective of opinion's sake on this, so you can see it?
Please,
like,
please.
I know my generation was much.
What year were you born?
He's saying, "Sit down, Grandpa."
97.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So a Tarck bike to my like my vocabulary is something that it is a Tarck bike. You're riding Tarck as a verb. You're riding Tarck when both of your wheels do not leave the floor. So it's like, one tire must be in contact with the floor for you to be doing a Tarck trick, right? The second that you can bar spin, that becomes trick track, right? So that's where the nomenclature comes from. No. Bar spin, like pickup bar. So the second that your handlebar can go all the way around and doesn't hit your frame or get stuck, it becomes trick track, right? And the second that both of your tires leave the floor, it becomes fixed gear freestyle. And that's like my definition.
I love it.
And that's like a really easy way to determine, like the vocabulary. It's like both of your, it's like one tire contact on the floor, no bar spins, Tarck.
So like Jake is Tarck then.
Jake is Tarck.
Okay. Yeah. I get it now. Sorry, I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. He's doing wheelies and stuff, but
the second
can't bar spin.
Yeah, you can't bar spin, so that's Tarck. But if you leave one tire on the floor and you can still bar spin, that's trick track. When both of your tires go into the air, that becomes FGFS.
So if someone says, "Can you buy me a FGFS frame?" It could be a screen frame that you can jump in the air.
Yep. The second that
Well-
both wheels leave the floor, it
Get out.
becomes
That's crazy. No,
FGFS. The second both your wheels leave the floor and you can bar spin, it's FGFS.
no, that's insane logic.
But that might be the difference though of
That's
this
like saying
type
as
of
soon as
riding
I-
versus the type of bike, right? So like you can do BMX tricks on non-BMX bikes, right? Isn't that the same?
Yeah.
But if somebody said buy me a BMX bike, you're not going to buy them a dirt jumper.
No, different things.
So like it could be the same thing where you say, oh yeah, that's fix your freestyle because you now just 3'd off that curb on your screen.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a fix your freestyle bike, you're going to talk about the bike that's designed specifically for that, regardless of if you can do it on something else.
Yeah.
Is a pogo an FGFS trick?
Ooh,
BMX?
it kind of is.
Ooh, no, that's
By
got
my
to be the
definition, it is.
OG, no way.
By my definition, it
Wrong.
becomes it.
That's trick track in my world.
Yeah, but you're
I
not
think you should
moving.
ask Marcus that one. Marcus would know the answer to that one. I think it's Tarck because that's like the Stark. That's like the Stark one.
So each of the tricks define which riding style you're doing. So
We need to make
specifically,
a
it's
flow
trick
chart.
related.
A flow chart. Yeah,
A Venn diagram because they overlap, you know.
Step 1, what trick are you doing?
I feel like I've kind of been swayed in the Mike Schmitt direction where it's the bike. You're riding a Scream that doesn't bar spin, or maybe does bar spin because I think the Ranger or something can clear bar spins. You're riding trick track. I don't know.
I think the bar spin one doesn't work out for me because I would still consider a track bike with the 650 front wheel on it like a Tarck if we're going by like the original definition because everybody back in the day in 08 and 09 was throwing 650s on their bike on their front wheels. Most of the people, unless they had like a head tri-spoke or something and they only mashed around, but they were like that was like pretty early of just like pop-up bar or wheelie bar spin. But not actually like doing bunny hop bar spins and stuff like that.
Guys, I realize what it is. It's related to how wide your tires are. That's all it is.
That's all.
Ooh.
We have from 28
Okay.
from 20 to 28C is Tarck. From 28 to 45 is trick track, and then
There
from
you go.
45 beyond it's FGFS.
I mean, that's probably actually pretty
So
accurate.
where do people like HDU fix in Korea who can do wild moves that are both tires are leaving the ground on skinny tired
That's-
Constantine track bikes? What
He's got
riding
a
is
valid
that?
point. Yeah, it's a very
He's riding
extremely
FGFS.
valid.
Both of his wheels are leaving the floor.
No, that's trick.
But you
track.
just said,
He can bar
tire
spin.
size though. You just said
Walking
tire
around on
size
a
too.
fucking Constantine. It's like he's like it's the bike itself. Like the bike is an aluminum or carbon bike. Like has no reason. It is made for the track with the actual intention of the track, rather than a fixed gear like that's just like a street thing. It's like that's like the Constantine shit is like it's so sick because that bike is light as fuck and that dude looks light as fuck because he can 5 cab like a foot tall.
So what riding is he doing?
He's still tarking around.
That's Tarck?
Really?
Yeah, or you I guess you could say trick track because
I
it's
would say that's trick
on,
track.
But
I think
like,
that's trick track.
Sure, he's trick tracking, but it's like
I don't think anybody does Tarck anymore.
it's definitely
Wait,
not
wait.
fixing your freestyle what he's doing.
Jake-
If it's
Jake's
not
owning it.
Constantine.
Okay.
Guys, I have a question. Do we need to just abolish Tarck from the
I was
vocabulary?
just
And
about
does
to
it make
say.
everybody happy?
I was just
Well,
about
Would
to
John
everybody-
is 60.
J-Ball just made a Tarck build.
Why
Do you know how many
couldn't it
kids
be
are
a
gonna
trick track?
buy one now?
Tom needs to
after
start
J-Ball
saying
just
it.
did?
Take ownership of it.
I'll
Take
fucking
the power
register
from
it.
the word.
Because the tricks that you do on it are going to be way beyond anything that was done in the Tarck era.
There wasn't a
J-Ball,
Tarck
right?
era. Fuck.
Well, yeah, there must have been because we got an article that says Tarck pile outside.
How
J-Ball,
about
J-Ball,
when
I know
the
we
bike
do.
was
I
made?
know we do. We relabel the term as fixieing, and then we just make everybody mad.
Yeah.
I feel like the way that like I'm seeing it is that like you could have like multiple instruments that could play jazz, but like a guitar is always gonna be a fucking guitar. Like I could play jazz on an oboe, but I'm playing the fucking oboe. I'm BMXing or I'm riding a trick track bike or I'm riding fixed gear freestyle, but they're all different instruments. And yes, you could play the same song or bar spin, and there is overlap in the tricks, or you could do a Keo spin or a probably spin or whatever the fuck like types of trick track tricks. You could do that on multiple bikes. Like you could even do that on an artistic cycling bike like a Ness Brune, who predates all of this, which is another fourth fixed gear cycling discipline with a 1-to-1 ratio. So like it's not that like it's like what it's an instrument that you use, but you can have overlap in what you do with that instrument.
Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this.
Beautiful.
Good.
Yeah, that was
I
beautiful.
still think we need to eliminate Tarck though.
Everything that is Tarck on the Fixed Gear archive and everything
like-
else is not anymore. Wow.
I never really used
No
that word.
oppression anywhere. Like no elimination of anything. Like let's just like
Just leave it.
Like
Yeah,
I think we can all agree though that there's a very clear delineation between trick track and fixed gear freestyle. It seems like
Yes.
in our heads
Yeah.
now at this point, right? Like if you're watching somebody's edit, you know if that's a trick track edit or a fixed gear freestyle edit.
Hold on.
It's not like
So what's Max Corcoran doing?
fixed gear freestyle.
Okay.
Fix your
hold on.
freestyle.
Why is his a fixed gear freestyle? Because he's coming off the ground or because of his bike setup?
Because of how he's
Like his
riding.
BB drop.
Bike setup
he's
too.
riding
I mean, he kind of has like a 700C fixed gear freestyle setup, the way it's built.
Ooh.
I would say more than a trick track bike.
He's doing grinds.
He's doing grinds. He's jumping.
that's
off
true.
stuff.
Yeah, where do pedal grinds come
Can he
into play
double
too?
peg? Can the bike double peg?
The
And
bike
couldn't-
cannot double peg.
No, he can't
Not
double
fix your
peg.
freestyle.
Yeah, but
But wait,
Yeah,
wait,
okay,
wait,
okay.
wait,
Tyler,
wait,
Tyler.
I have a question. I have a question. Wait, I have a question. Let me ask mine. It's really easy. Yes, actually goes to this. He does pedal grinds, right? So where is pedal grinds in that? Because it's still a grind, even though the bottom bike.
Unicycle can do a pedal grind. That doesn't mean he's doing fixed gear.
And it's fixed gear.
Hold
No,
on,
that
hold
might
on.
be
Okay,
it.
but like,
That's
is it
it.
Hold on.
trick track?
No, 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 no,
Tarck?
Fixed
Is
gear
it-
sport.
This is actually an important point. Max is riding Omniums. Okay, he's not riding BMX cranks. He's not riding
That
BMX
too.
drivetrain. He's riding a track
He's an
drivetrain.
incredible trick track rider.
Okay.
That's what. Yeah, that's
Well,
how I feel.
Well, hold on. What would have to happen to his setup to make it a fixed gear freestyle setup?
But also,
You'd have to have like the BB-18 Serpent frame instead that was like had BMX dropouts. It was like 14 mil.
Okay.
It was like mid.
I
BB.
disagree on the no BB drop part, but I think I agree with
I was about to say.
most of the other things because I would say like the first Red Bull Red Bull riding style, my Sizemore couldn't double peg.
You still
And
did.
I did a rail ride to bar spin.
Was
on that.
Tyler
That's
trick
not
tracking?
track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is?
Of course,
That's-
it was just it was a general competition. It wasn't. There was no exclusion. We didn't segregate it at those contests.
So
Like
so a charm.
That's
a
true. Matthew was doing skids.
A Break 17 Charmer 700C and a Thrasher are trick track bikes.
I would say so.
Oh, do I got balloon? What is happening to my?
Yeah, you got your balloon again, dude. You did that.
It looks like COVID looks.
It made
But
me.
you're doing a cool peace sign.
You broke.
Is it
You
good?
broke.
Yeah, we've already
broke it.
done the. Yeah, we got to the next.
He
one.
looks
That's-
irradiated.
So if Max were to keep his frame, but he has BMX cranks. Oh wait, should I stop for J-Ball or?
No, it's fine. You keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So so if Max were to keep his frame now, but put BMX cranks on there.
No.
Instead of
He's
the
talking about
Omniums.
bottom bracket drop. That's what.
Oh, I
Max is
know,
referring to.
but still, so that doesn't make if it's BMX cranks versus track crank because that
It
doesn't
doesn't
make a
raise the
difference at all.
bottom bracket.
Okay, so that doesn't make
Or
any
lower the bottom
difference.
bracket.
Okay, I know, but that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
Because
what
you know,
if you
you
put, like,
different.
an extra
It's not a. It's a.
torque on it?
We're right,
So-
but I mean, it's not like a Constantine where Constantine has those track cranks, right? But he has track cranks.
No.
But if
no.
he
Mike is saying that it's directly correlated to the bottom bracket
Wait.
drop.
okay,
Millimeter.
When I bar
if you-
spun El Toro, was I trick tracking?
Yes.
Yeah. Like yeah, you bar spin on a trick track bike. If there's 100%.
I love.
What?
So to Kareem's point, if he ran a longer fork and then could double peg, it would become FGFS.
But a long enough fork to do that would have to be like 440. Like
A booster. If he ran the
long,
440 booster.
500 A to C.
like it would make your head tube so slack. It would no longer. You'd be running a chopper.
Yeah, but you can double peg.
I remember seeing people run chopper bikes.
That's just the Vandal. They made that already. They sold it.
Remember the head tube extenders?
Yeah, the
Oh,
head tube
dude.
extender was crazy. There was a dude making them.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like
Yeah, Phil.
it would like press in. Yeah.
I have an 1/8
There's
inch
another dude
one.
making them, and then Phil started making better ones, like a machined one.
What
Okay,
was the
so
point?
I think we need to all agree on what a fix your freestyle bike is. I think we would all say that the Master,
High tech.
the Court Tech High Tech, Master High Tech is a fix your freestyle bike. Does anybody disagree with that? Or the Rough Bike Co is a fix your freestyle bike, right? We all
No
say that is a
disagreement.
fix your freestyle bike.
So what is Thrasher?
Well, we're getting to that. So
Pardon?
he said, "What is a Thrasher?" So the next part would be, what would a Thrasher be? Where is that a Tarck frame?
Hold on,
Is that an
but
FGFS frame?
this is gray area. We got to do the absolutes. So 26-inch rough, high tech. Those are 26. Those are FGFS. We have all come in agreement to that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Break 17 Serpent FGFS bike, right?
What's the bottom bracket situation? I don't remember.
That's
the one with
negative bottom bracket.
That's the negative, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that's a 29er fix your freestyle bike,
So-
like what Corey's riding, right? Corey's is like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So okay, here. Listen to this hypothetical though. If we take Corey's
Corey's
frame,
definitely riding GFS.
if we take
for
Corey's
sure.
frame, put skinny tires on it, raise the seat up, put little handlebars, is that fix your freestyle bike?
No, Corey's
What tricks
bike
is
is
he
still
doing?
FGFS. If he set it up
Just
like
set up shitty.
like you could put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Like
Yeah, but you can play jazz music on like a rock guitar, can't you? I don't know. Wasn't that your argument before that it comes down to what the person's doing with the instrument?
But no, what we're talking about
the
bike.
instrument itself. It has nothing to do. You and I could play jazz on two completely different string instruments, and we're playing different instruments. No one would be like, Michael's crushing the sitar right now, and I'd be like, this is a bass, idiot. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, it's the actual instrument that you're using. We could both play the same tune, but if I'm doing one on 3 different bikes, that each time I'm riding a different bike and I'm doing a different activity. Mountain biking is only on a mountain bike. You can't mountain bike on
Okay, I guess
like you can ride a mountain bike trail on a road bike.
I guess the
You
point
could-
I was making, Mike, is that I think I agree with you that the bike makes the difference, but I think that I don't fully agree about the bottom bracket drop, because I think if something is positive bottom bracket, I feel like it could still be FGFS bike. Like
I agree with that.
It's just so hard for me to call like a 700C Charmer with a slam seat and like 5-inch rise bars a trick track bike.
I think that's like as close to a fixed gear or a fixed gear freestyle that a trick track bike could get. But like I still think it is.
Well,
Currently, I'm
It's a different
J-Ball.
feeling,
Currently,
like, the
I'm 3 for
entire
3 on the
feeling
tire width dilemma. Okay, I'm 3 for 3 on tire width right now.
Is it the ability,
What does 3 for 3 mean?
Deacon? Is it the ability to hold a fat tire, or is it having a fat tire for you?
It's having a fat tire.
So for J-Ball's new Bianchi that he just built up, can we all agree that that's not a fixed gear freestyle bike, regardless of if J-Ball can do a 360 on it or not?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Mike agreed from a distance.
Tom?
I mean, assuming he doesn't put a bar spinnable fork on it.
Well, here's
Well, he can bar spin with the 650.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm not saying what it is. I'm saying it's not a fixed gear freestyle bike.
yeah. I mean, that's trick track to me.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've all come in agreement on what FGFS is and what FGFS isn't. Basically.
Well,
We at least have a
feel
bike
like-
each
Almost.
that we can agree on.
I feel like J-Ball's Bianchi is just a track bike.
Yeah, agreed. It's not a fixed gear freestyle bike.
Well, track bike
Yeah,
would have
and it's
track
not really a
drop,
park bike either. It's an actual track bike for the track.
but it would have track drops.
But it has positive bottom bracket.
But he has set it up in a Tarck way. It's a track bike, definitely, but he set it up in a Tarck manner.
So is your definition
Oh
of,
man.
is your definition of Tarck a bike that was intended for the velodrome that somebody has now put flat bars or riser bars on and is not riding in the velodrome, basically?
Yes, but I would say only in like maybe late 90s onward. I'm not talking about Quicksilver era,
Yeah,
like that type of like 80s messenger scene when they were riding fixed gear on street. But most of them still were riding drop bars. But I think like all that OG messenger shit is just OG Messenger shit, and I don't want to touch that. But I would say yes. Like once 2000, let's say 4 to like 10, that's like the
like
loose
Fast
parking.
Friday, original.
Yeah, and then at
some of the
around
MASH
same
stuff.
time, yeah, a lot of overlap with Trick Track, but I wouldn't say a lot of that MASH stuff is Trick Track.
No, that's just.
But a lot of it's just also
it
just
predates terms, right?
just like
Yeah.
which is sick as fuck too. Like I like when there's like sections of like mixed types of riding, just like I like an album that has mixed types of progressions with the instrument.
Let's have a vote real quick about the gray area of things. Who here considers let's just start like easy. Who considers Corey's bike an FGFS bike? Okay, that one's a clear one. Who considers the Thrasher V1 an FGFS bike? Ooh. Mike Schmitt and Tom Mosher, no vote. The rest of us vote.
Because it kind of predated the terminology, so it's like because it was from a phase where the bikes were just evolved. There was no nation because it was just tricks on fixed gear bikes, and we didn't.
No, but
none of this stuff had a name, you know.
The cutter was the thing when the term Trick Track came out. The Thrasher came out after the word Trick Track came out, and after.
But I would argue, like the name, like the term Trick Track, but it wasn't the term for that style of riding. It was just I needed a name for the forums. So I just blah 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 Trick Track, but like that wasn't even. We weren't calling them Trick Track bikes. It was never even. It was only like I was surprised. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I got back into things. I was like, oh shit, they're using that term. No way.
Wait, so even when the Thrasher came out,
it was never like track riding back then.
When the Thrasher came out in 2010, there still wasn't terminology for anything.
I don't think so. I mean,
in 2010 still, and part of why, like, when we were making the 26-inch frame, we were like having conversations even on like the forum and shit, being like, should it be this? Should it be this? And we're like, fixed gear freestyle just makes the most sense. There were some people being like, it's like FMX because it's like BMX but fixed, and I'm like, fixed motocross doesn't make sense as far as like
freestyle motocross.
And yeah, which was like,
yeah, that already exists.
Imagine that. Imagine that stuck.
Like the creation of the 26-inch frame that was designed truly not a great bike to commute on. Like it's only a bike for tricks. Where like a Trick Track bike, you could take that bike to work all day. Sure, do some people on a high-tech commute to their job? Probably, and I'm sorry for them. But like
Adam does it.
Like the term like fixed gear freestyle, which then just turned into FGFS, came about because new bikes that were designed that felt different. Like if you try your center of gravity is completely different if your feet are higher up or if your feet are lower, which is why I rest my case. Not really, I'm not rested. I got all night. But like, which is why I go back to my bottom bracket point.
So in today now, after everything that you know about where we're at today, you don't consider it an FGFS frame, a Thrasher? After everything, we're not talking about back in 2010. We're talking about like right now. No, okay,
No,
that's what. What about you? Okay,
what year was fixed free?
What about
What year was it that you guys are trying to push that as the name of the sport?
Ed was trying to pick that. Like I was trying to do FGFS, and Ed was like, "Fixed free sounds better," and he like.
I feel like I remember fixed free coming first.
Mm-mm.
I remember them coming out at the same time, but I don't remember.
Ed was just the loudest about it. I feel like it was like the same time, and he was like he made the Facebook group, which then turned into Fixed Freestyle, which then that's what Matt Spencer was talking about in his interview, where like because then me and Ed gave control to Slumworm, and then Slumworm gave control to Matt Spencer, and like
I remember all that.
I love that this is getting confirmed. I love this.
No, we already. This was history. This wasn't up in the air. This really.
No, it's just
Wait, Mike,
I know, but just to have Matt.
To circle back to the Thrasher conversation and how it's not an FGFS bike. Jensen did a double peg on it. It might have been Seesaw, but he did do a double peg on it in 2010.
But Corey, St. Augustine did the rocking horse grind down that big square rail in California, and that wasn't fixed gear freestyle, and that was sick as fuck.
But by definition, we all agree that his bike was FGFS, right? And then you did not agree that the Thrasher was not
Corey's
also FGFS?
current bike is not teeter-totter.
Yeah, Corey's current bike. We're not talking about all bikes Corey's ever rode. I'm saying Corey's current bike is a fixed gear freestyle. But like,
because it's double peg?
When we created the term fixed gear freestyle,
it's like,
it was because we were
really
designing the 26-inch frame. It wasn't because like Thrasher was already out when Grime was designing a 26-inch frame. And
yeah, I think that is a good point. I think what's interesting is if we were to define trick track and fixed gear freestyle in the time period, I think I would agree with you, Mike. Looking back now, I would call a lot more stuff fixed gear freestyle. Like that overlap area to me is a lot more confusing than it would have been when it's like, oh, I switched to my Sky Limit from my Sizemore. You can see a very clear distinction in between the riding on those two bikes because of that bike allowing me to do stuff that the other bike wouldn't allow me to do. But I don't feel like I called it anything until
what's
fixed gear
charge
freestyle.
scissor then? Would charge scissor is what?
I'd say that's a trick track bike.
It had
that came out in like 2009.
Yeah, but like it's the same exact thing as
fixed
a Thrasher
freestyle. I vote fixed gear freestyle for that frame.
Possibly, yeah.
For the scissor?
Yeah.
I'm noticing one thing that a lot of the what we're describing.
It's just because Tom is writing it.
Although, okay.
Like we created the term fixed gear freestyle after riding bruisers, after riding like cutters, after riding thrashers, after riding Kilroys, because it was a new thing, and we were like, oh, it's got to have a different name. Okay. So if we want to bring all those people over afterwards, sure, like we could all be fixed gear freestyle riders if we want at the end of this conversation, but the word fixed gear freestyle was created as a differentiator from the Milwaukee Bruiser, the Kilroy, the Thrasher, the TRK. And it was only created because that was like, look, we can't be calling this shit the same thing because this new thing is different. It feels different. Not all the tricks are going to be the same, but it will unlock different and new tricks. And that's why the term fixed gear freestyle was even created. So I think anything before that term was created, you can't call fixed gear freestyle. So if the Thrasher came out before the term was created, like you could say now we're grandfathering it in, but it wasn't originally that. Originally, it was a trick track frame because that's.
If you were going to describe to someone who knows nothing about anything that we're talking about, what you did from 2009 to whenever you took a break from riding, you would just call it all fixed gear freestyle, wouldn't you?
I would just say fixed gear because I started off riding
on fixed gear bikes.
I've just been riding fixed gear since 2007, 2008, late 2007, and I would say.
So like, that I think we could all agree that that's like the common thing because you can't dispute it. You have a fixed drivetrain on your bike, right? And I think that's what's interesting about looking back on it is you have a different perspective. Because I would just call like everything I did fixed gear freestyle because it all led up to it was like the evolution of a shitty 80s BMX bike to like the 90s 40-pound BMX bikes to the now 20-pound BMX bikes that they can do anything on. Like it's just the evolution of the sport. Is all part of BMX, regardless of, like if you, in the 80s, they were doing tons of flat ground tricks that nobody even does anymore, but it was still called BMX.
The bike geometry and essence of what it feels like to ride the bike has not changed that much. Like, sure, 80s BMX is larger wheelbase, but like the overall shape, if you were to like flip through every single BMX bike, like it wouldn't change drastically where there is a clear moment in the timeline of like bikes. If we were to flip through all the bikes people were doing tricks on, all of a sudden the bottom bracket jumped up, the wheels became small, big, and mountain bike size. The geometry looked like a BMX, but it was something different. And I feel like if you were looking through like anthropologically at like the footprint or like the silhouette of every single bike, there's a clear difference with our discipline compared to BMX.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if the difference would be that distinct because if you remember like early FGFS bikes, didn't really have like sloping top tubes, and there was a lot of remnants of the old geometries that kind of persisted.
Oh yeah, we made multiple sizes. We made like a really large grime goat,
Yeah.
and like people still ride that. Like messengers still ride that, and I feel like fixed gear freestyle bikes should have more than one size. It's crazy to me that like you can only buy one size. Like I don't know. You see like ATW Adam is a huge fucking dude, and he rides the same size bike as Matt Bastard, who is like like a foot and a half shorter than, and they both ride the same size bike. Like that's not right.
Damn, Kareem, make sizes.
Right?
You know, the
like,
small FGFS is the rough bike. The big one's the master.
No.
Grime will be producing multiple sizes. So
Are you gonna do top tube
Oh,
like BMX?
what the fuck? Oh my
Soft
god.
announcement.
Holy shit.
Is it gonna be based off of top tube length?
That's huge.
FGFS will be based like that off like top tube length, and then the 700C frame will be based like a typical like center to center seat tube.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
But I didn't want to have like standover be the height of like
Yeah,
a
that's weird.
26-inch frame.
The Cortec comes in sizes.
It does.
Yeah, which it should, because
Yeah.
that you want that bike to be underneath
Well,
you.
you
and
need to be able to ride it around in a seated manner as well, right? Like that's a big distinction too between. I mean,
that
like
and
you said,
reach.
some people can ride. They're riding their 26-inch whatever to work, but you ain't going out and riding a 20-mile ride on your fixed gear freestyle bike with your seat slammed down, unless that's the only way you can get home. But you're not doing that for fun.
I think that's the
I have
caveat
a,
of the fix your
Probably
freestyle
been on some
frames.
20-mile rides in my FGFS.
Well, you also have knees that need to be drained every 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I realized I don't have a Baker cyst. I got a lipoma, Kareem. I thought it was a Baker cyst this whole time.
Oh,
So I'm getting it removed in a month.
lucky
Dope.
you.
Whoa.
No drainage. You're just gonna operate
Pull it out.
right on me.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
All right, so I
good to
have
know.
a statement.
Mike's in
that
part
I
3.
know it. I have a statement that doesn't necessarily support my Thrasher is not a FGFS bike, but it's worth bringing up because I am a fair person, and that is press-in bottom bracket versus threaded Euro bottom bracket, where if, like I could understand if someone wanted to talk about bottom bracket being the differentiator. I think that's like I'm taking that with a grain of salt, but it is a thing because it's like there are certain bikes where if you're putting in a BMX bottom bracket, I guess you could say that more constitutes a fixed gear freestyle. But to me, Thrasher's still trick track because it came out before the term. It's not differentiated by the clear design.
Does Thrasher have a mid bottom bracket?
Yeah.
It does.
What are
Yeah,
the
'cause-
bikes from that era?
The size
Okay, I'm
more
kinda-
mid and the Shadow was Shadow threaded.
Shadow was
Shadow was threaded. It was
No, it was
mid?
threaded. It was threaded.
Well, let's find out. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was
It was
threaded.
like a threaded
Because
bottom bracket.
I feel like fixed gear freestyle was going when I made the Sizemore with Taylor, and that was my 29er fixed gear freestyle bike. I didn't do double pegs, so I didn't care about the BB thing, so that wasn't a consideration that I put into designing it. But I designed it as like a fixed gear freestyle, can handle jumping.
I like that J-Ball has a picture of the bottom bracket.
J-Ball
just-
has pictures for everything. Yeah.
J-Ball, is that the complete or the frame sold separate?
complete. There was no Shadow complete.
Yeah, what are you talking about, man?
I thought there was the Sabrosa one. When did that come out?
That's a Sabrosa, not a leader.
Malum.
Dang, man, pulling up.
Oh, the
seat.
Shadow.
You're
Oh,
talking
my
about
bad.
the Tyler Johnson
Tyler
signature
Johnson's
model.
signature model.
I spaced. MB.
This is a mid bottom bracket on this Thrasher,
Okay.
on this Shadow here,
Ooh.
and the Mordecai also had a
Mid.
mid bottom bracket. But
They came out around the same time, though, so we were like swapping to BMX cranks at that point, I think, and then it just made more sense to do that.
I still
I
think
think I got a Shadow before the Mordecai came out, but they were pretty close to each other.
Yeah, the Shadow to me was still like whatever we're calling trick track. Like I could still do keo spins on it. I could still like ride forever on it. like I was winning alley cat races on it at Future Tense. And the Sizemore was like my transition into like this bike is no longer going to be rideable around the city, and I'm designing it to be basically a big BMX bike.
Well, and then the TRK was threaded, right?
Yeah,
TRK is definitely trick track
for sure.
So, Mike, I like the grain of salt idea you brought up about the bottom bracket. I think it's a really good maybe distinguisher, because TRK came out at the same time as the Mordecai. People were using the Mordecai for big jumpies and BMX tricks, and people were using the TRK for whatever is, whatever they were doing.
Well, the TRK would fold in half if you did any big jumps.
Well, people
The TRK and the Mordecai weren't produced at the same time though.
No, I wasn't given an option. I was only given the TRK, and I felt so cool because Tyler had a special color, and they gave me a green one, and I was like, I'm like Tyler, and I felt real good. I was like, I felt so good then.
I'm saying they came out in the same year, 2010. Beginning of 2010 was TRK V2, mid
V2.
Yeah.
V3.
No, that had to be V3.
V3 didn't officially come out. There was a V1.5.
Didn't the Shadow come out in 2010?
Yeah, it all came out in 2010. It just felt like a long time.
Oh, I guess we probably were writing the prototypes then. Because I'm like, I definitely had a V3 before I had a Shadow.
Yeah.
For sure, I had a V3.
So did Mike.
And I broke it.
And
then I got the Shadow briefly, and I rode that, and then I got a Mordecai.
Damn, we got 3 former leader riders here.
I don't think I ever broke any of the frames.
Tom, you haven't talked in a while. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, a thing that I've been kind of this discussion is that the moment that people keep trying to draw the line between trick track and fixed gear freestyle seems to be when everyone's attitude shifted to let's try to do all the BMX moves we can, rather than let's see what parking lot spins we can figure out. And we started just pursuing like what BMX moves are possible. And then once that was the motivation, then that was even further pushed to drop the top tubes and adjust the geo and get bigger tires, because the bikes couldn't handle it when we really started getting serious about bigger drops and grinds. So we talk about a period when the headspace shifted to wanting to do that stuff and kind of threw by the wayside all the parking lot spins. Now, it's cool that has come back and it's having its own life of its own and the wild new directions people are taking it. But I've been kind of noticing that this is like the period we're all describing, and we're not sure what to call it. And we're like, well, this bike came out right around that, but it's really when the headspace shifted from let's see what BMX moves we can do.
Yeah, and that's when the 26-inch frames started coming out. Yeah, for sure. Where it's like,
yeah,
that wasn't BMX, but it also wasn't what you were doing before. Just like artistic cycling did all the shit you're talking about doing on a court or doing on like flat ground. Artistic cycling did that already, all of those moves, but like no one did it like Keo on the streets. And that's why then fixed gear became separate from artistic cycling. And I think the time when people were like, oh, we're going to do moves that are more vindicative of something that's truly designed for tricks, like truck drivers and like 3-ing down stair sets and tooth hangering a handrail, that is then the fixed gear freestyle mindset. But like artistic cycling like is not what you were doing, but that because fixed gear freestyle is also not trick track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think they're all distinct, and I think that artistic cycling has a deep, long, like decades and decades and decades history of establishing what is possible on a fixed gear drivetrain, but also their unique, narrow focus setups limit in a way what is possible, and different tricks are possible on track ratios of. I just think they are unique pursuits, and I don't think I definitely. But I do think that there is some new concepts being explored by the people who are doing it in the streets and not in the strict rule-based, artistic cycling world.
Are we getting a little too into artistic cycling here?
I just think if
we
he
just
wants
touched on
differentiate himself from artistic cycling and call it, like trick track, then it's easy to then make the argument to differentiate this like 26-inch more like street riding.
Yeah, I think Tom's saying that there's a differentiation, and that differentiation, we can all disagree on what bike is exactly that differentiation, but I do think we all agree that it is the shift of, I want a bike that I can do a 180 down a stair set on that's not going to fold in half. And that was like that shift, that mental shift that Tom's talking about. Because I remember doing, like, trying wall rides and stuff on my Trek, which was a straight up track bike, right? But that was like a very small percentage of the tricks that I was doing at that time. Most of them were wheelies, foot drag stuff, riding backwards, whatever. But, occasionally you would try to see what you could do. But then that transition period of like, there was definitely years where I didn't do a single Keo spin on a bike that I had for riding fixed gear because I couldn't do it. Like, I wasn't focused on doing that at all. And I think what's interesting is, to your point, Tom, now you have a whole group of kids that are kind of doing this middle ground stuff again. And then you also still have this kind of other side. And I think it's very different to watch like Chase Davis and J-Ball ride their 26-inch bikes than it is to watch some of those rad Korean kids doing tricks on those slick flat ground areas that they ride, those plazas, right?
So, go ahead, Pizza.
I think I have another thing is like, when we talk about like where you're doing the tricks, right? So like my point I want to make is, what is it when, say J-Bo just made a post about this. He goes to Vans, we go to a skate park, and he brings his Thrasher, and he's kind of setting himself off drops and stuff. Is that still not like FGFS? Is that still tarking? Is he tarking himself, like doing 540 cabs off of
a trick track bike?
That's trick track.
He's riding
trick
track.
Mike's definition, that's trick track.
But he's on it. Okay, I was gonna say.
I disagree. I would say that's Fix Your Freestyle. It has a press-in BB.
Because
and it was designed
by your logic, Tyler, you're saying when you had the Trek and you tried a wall ride that day, you fixed freestyled, and then you went back to toe drags and Keos, and
no,
immediately
because
then you
he's
were
not doing any. He's not doing any foot drag wheelies on his Thrasher.
You did a wall ride on the Trek, like so. On that day you tried a wall ride, did you all of a sudden like cross some sort of barrier into doing a completely new discipline? No, you're still riding a Trek. You're still riding a 700.
Well, I think that's where we disagree on what a Thrasher is.
Okay,
that too.
But the geo of the Trek is not dissimilar from the G. Like, yes, the Thrasher is long and it feels like a boat, but like the overall like silhouette is not that like not.
They're closer to each other than the Thrasher is to a Rough.
Yes. Okay, well, so far, everybody so far, I am every bike for every bike on the tire size denomination.
Deacon's tire size argument maybe still holding up.
I just think it's like when you talk about where you're like, also like going back to what Mike, it is what bike you're using, right? But it's also the situation that you're using it is, like what Tyler and Tom were saying, that you're going to a parking lot or you're going to a parking garage and you're doing the tricks on flat, but on the Thrasher that could be done too. But let's say like with J-Bo again, you take that Thrasher and you take it into the skate park. Yeah, he's not hitting the handrail, but he's doing everything else. But like.
Okay, but that's like I take a ukulele, I go on stage, and I'm shredding, and people are like, "He's playing guitar. The ukulele's turned into a guitar." No, it's still a fucking ukulele. Like, I'm playing it like a guitar. It's very similar. It looks different size, but it's very fucking similar. An AI 2 years ago wouldn't be able to spot the difference. Now it could, but like, it's still a ukulele.
I don't know. I feel like your analogy with the instrument, so the instrument's like the bike, right? And you're saying a guitar can play jazz, so a track bike can do trick track tricks, but the guitar can also play rock and roll. So
you could have a full track bike, and you could 360 a 12 stair in a carbon track bike, like one that is made Olympic standards, and you could somebody somewhere at some point could 360 a 12 stair, and somehow that carbon track bike wouldn't break. But that person's not riding FGFS. If they're riding an Olympic grade track bike, they're just really good at 3ing on a fix.
But I think what Kareem's saying is we would all agree that that's still a track bike, but what they did is a fixed gear freestyle move.
Sure.
So to your like thing of the ukulele can play whatever, right? Or you can play
ukulele can play rock instead of just beach.
So then the reason that the Thrasher is too hard for us to agree on is we can't all agree on what that instrument is called.
I think that was Mike's point the whole time.
Mike's point still holds up because the track bike is still a track bike after it 360s a 12 stair.
I understood.
I wouldn't call the 360 a track. I wouldn't call the 360 down a 12 stair doing trick track.
Riding
So
a trick track.
You are doing an extreme fucking trick for a track bike.
Wait. I think what's holding us back now is we're flip flopping between like the bikes themselves and the verbiage, like to do the action, right?
No, but yeah,
probably
that's what Mike is saying. Mike is saying the bike is what it is.
A trick track bike or an FGFS bike, but are you riding Tarck, trick track, or FGFS?
So it could be one bike, one discipline, but the bike is still that type of bike. I think
like you're doing FGFS on a track bike.
It's like
yes,
it's
that's it.
Here is the unifying.
Right.
Just you're right.
He's riding
specific
like Hong Kong from Vietnam.
Yeah, that's interesting because like there's this same type of discussion that's like happening in the gravel and mountain bike racing worlds because gravel racing now are all running mountain bike tires that were truly designed for a mountain bike, cross-country mountain bike racing are now being run on gravel bikes with drop bars. And now some of those gravel bikes have suspension forks on the front of them. And so it's literally what we're talking about of like, what is this line between mountain bike, cross-country racing, and gravel racing? And the distinction that they would make in that sense is like, you're on a gravel bike or you're on a mountain bike, right?
So you're saying it's Geo.
It's Geo and handlebars in their case because the Geo is pretty much the same.
Oh, there we go.
Geo and I rest my case. It's all geometry.
But then I still would say that Thrasher, Sizemore time period.
Different Geo than rough. I have a Canyon gravel bike and I put risers on it. And people are like, you're mountain biking. And I'm like, eat a dick. Like, this is still a gravel bike. I just like risers. It feels better for my shoulder.
Except for a 90s mountain bike and a modern gravel bike have the same geometry pretty much.
Not the same. It's a little bit different wheelbase, a little bit different, like, angles.
Sure, but
I know
we could say that the track bike is slightly shorter than a Thrasher, so now it's no longer a trick track bike, right?
But you did agree Thrasher in Geo is closer to an Olympic track frame than it is to a fixed gear freestyle rough frame, where rough is closer to a fucking DJ downhill like frame, you know, like definitely shorter wheelbase.
What do you guys think about this? One frame can be set up in multiple ways. Like, I have my Thrasher right now set up FGFS mode, but if I wanted to, I could set up that same Thrasher trick track mode. Anything?
How do you change
this is returning to my bar spin argument.
You're trying to prove. But you've had your Cortex set up with like 28C tires and 32C tires and larger.
45C tires too.
45C it does fit, maybe even larger.
Yeah, but no 2.2s.
No 2.2s.
No 2.2.
If we had all just switched to 26 and no one ever rode 700 by 29 by 2.2 tires as fixed gear freestyle, I think that would be a really clean way to be like, oh yeah, when everyone went to 26 inch, that is now fixed gear freestyle.
Yeah, those damn
but
in
a lot of people didn't transition like J-Ball for years and were doing harder tricks than the people could do on a 26 inch bike.
But when I rode for leader, at some point within like a few months in, I decided to switch to 26-inch wheels on a frame designed for 700. And that wasn't me riding fixed gear freestyle. I was still riding trick track on the leader frame. I still had BB drop. And then I still rode the Kilroy, which was a trick track frame with 26s. even, and so Deacon's tire argument is out the window there. It will.
I almost had it.
It's all geo. It's all design.
I'm ever since you talked about the bottom brackets though, like the actual type, like mid or threaded, I can't let that go. I feel like why, like,
But anyone could change the bottom bracket on any bike.
you can say that about anything. Anybody can do anything to any bike. I feel like mid
That's
bottom.
like saying press-in cups or Tarck and integrated headset is Trick Track.
I think mid bottom bracket, big tires equals fixed freestyle bike. I think I'm drawing my line in the sand there after this conversation. Where are we drawing our line? Let's wrap up this discussion.
Okay, go around. Everybody draws their line.
Yeah, Deacon.
I'm going with tires. I'm staying firm. You know, the tire category categorizes your bike in a great way because while you could run skinnier tires on a FGFS bike, and I'm saying that in air quotes for our listeners, if you tried to do an FGFS style trick on it, it would not last. It would, like your tires would pop, your wheels would explode, et cetera, et cetera. So the tire argument for me is what's holding me down. I abolished my original argument and definition. I have now subscribed to my own tire definition.
All right. Because on my screen, I'm next. I'll just say my line. Mid bottom bracket, big tire equals FGFS. Threaded bottom bracket. I think like the Cortec specifically really helped draw the line in the sand for me because Cortec was the premium Trick Track bike that came out after all of the era of Trick Track and Tarck died to revive it, and it has a threaded bottom bracket. And for me, that's the Trick Track bike because threaded bottom bracket. I think that's me. I think that's where I landed. Kareem?
I would say that the bikes, so a track bike can be a track bike or a Tarck bike, but a Trick Track bike cannot be a Tarck bike as much. But a Trick Track bike can also be an FGFS bike sometimes.
Like I said, setup matters.
And then, because of the setup, but on top of that, on any of the bikes, you can be doing fixed gear freestyle, Trick Track, or Tarck, depending on how you're using it.
Or artistic
if you choose to set up a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
For the record, I think 1-to-1 ratio equals artistic cycling. I think that's what makes that. But
sometimes they ride like a 0.8. Like they ride a smaller ring than that's on the actual back wheel. Like they'll ride like a 28 and then or like a 16 and they'll be like,
I didn't know that. That's
the bikes are actually crazy. They ride like 24-inch sized wheels, and like the seat has that crazy scoop to it.
They have drop bars that are upside down.
Upside down drop bars, yeah. Zero rate course. Like those bikes are like really strange.
Mike, I think we know where you lie, but we'll have you still present your last case.
Yeah. All right, my last case is look at a frame from the side. Let's just say drive side, because that is what we all love. Let's remove logos. Let's remove all parts, and let's just make it completely black, and we're talking about a silhouette. If I compare a Brompton which is a foldy bike, to a DJ frame, to anything else, there's clear differences in the silhouette. And I think the difference in the silhouette of Trick Track and fixed gear is stark. I think the difference between Tarck and Trick Track is slight, and it's a tubing size, or maybe it's like some shapes are different, where it's like you're like clearly this wouldn't last on a 12 stair. But overall, if we're just talking about the silhouettes of the bikes, the clear geometry of the angles of where certain parts are placed, like does the top tube slope, is there high bottom bracket or not? Like that to me is the defining factor.
Well, real quick, so if I took this Cortec
silhouette, I can't see threads on the silhouette. It's literally just a thread, or it's just a hole.
Hold on.
In the silhouette, the Cortec to me looks like a Thrasher. They look identical to me as a perfect silhouette.
So I take this bottom bracket, I move it up to meet at the dropout level. Does that make it fixed gear freestyle instead?
Yeah, because by your logic, if this new Grime 26-inch frame, if I wanted to put a Euro threaded bottom bracket on it, you'd be like, it's a trick track, and you would like your mind would explode. Like you would like, what would you do with yourself? Like,
what's a 0 bottom bracket frame?
0? Well, it's not 0. It's got to be up higher.
No, I mean, what's a frame
Be a little bit higher.
that's 0?
Unknown.
Oh,
Wasn't that
like
zero?
no, but 0 still doesn't, like, it's not double peggable because of the thickness of the axle versus the thickness of the BB shell.
So
The
negative.
very first Yomang was a 0. And
Yeah,
that
I was
like
gonna
my
say you guys
mistake
learned that
when we
lesson
were
early.
setting it up.
So that would be a trick track?
The prototype that no one ever saw, that no one rode,
Yeah.
it was still a trick track bike, and we were like, fuck, it rocks. It didn't even work. We're like, okay, the next time we're bumping it up like -5 or whatever, and then like we're like, okay, it's good. And then I think we did kink rails, and we're like, maybe it should be at -7, just to like when you go back down off the kink, it doesn't buck you over. But like, it took a while because no one was making fixed gear bikes that put your center of gravity above the axle height of the wheels. And that's the distinct thing that changed what Tom was saying of like the type of riding that happened, was when all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't. Like, it's like riding fakie on a fixed gear freestyle compared to a Thrasher is completely different. It's easy to ride fakie when your center of gravity is below the axle height, because you're just like, you just put your weight down and your weight is lower than the axles, so your bike doesn't want to tip. It's hard to ride fakie on a fixed gear freestyle because you actually have to balance it. You can't lean on your weight because your weight is higher than both axles and you tip.
Pizza, your thoughts?
For me, I kind of am pulling towards Deacon's original thought, which was kind of depending, not in terms of like where your wheels are, but I think in terms of the tricks that you're doing, for sure. Determine what you're doing and what kind of bike it, obviously not everyone's going to be like the guys in Korea on a Constantine doing that, which there are a special breed of people that can do that. And I give them all the most props for that. But I think it's more so that the type of trick and how you're doing it. Like I said earlier, with you having a Thrasher going to the skate park and doing those tricks, that's FGFS for me. When it comes to you doing it in a parking lot and you're on the, that's depending on what you're doing, that's like Tarck and trick track to me.
So you don't think the bike matters. You just think the type of riding defines the bike.
Yeah.
To an extent, though.
Yeah, to an extent. Yes, to an extent. Because obviously, like I said, you're not going to go to the trick. You're not going to go to the skate park on a Constantine and do that.
Right.
Unless,
but if you see a bike sitting on its own, it's not doing any tricks. You have to call it something. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
It's like, think about shopping.
Then you agree with me.
For a bike,
It's true.
how do you
No, you
delineate
do,
what type of
yeah.
bike you want to buy?
Well, because of my own knowledge, I know, like, if I look at them, if it's me, I go, oh, okay, like 26 a rough, a master, that's FGFS. If I know like J-Ball's bike and I see it sitting on the ground, I think that's a little bit of like FGFS, that's like freestyle. You're doing some kind of trick on that, because granted there's no pegs on it, but yeah. And if I think it's going back to Deacon's thing with the skinnier tires, if I see a skinnier tire on it, I know that it's not doing most FGFS tricks. It's going to be on the ground doing Tarck/trick track tricks. So that's me. It's kind of all over the place,
Yeah,
but
really,
I hit the
narrow
it's a method to my madness.
That was not that
It's a method to my madness. Dude. It's okay.
That's
It's okay.
all right.
Just go to Tom. Tom has a better one.
Understand it in your head.
Tom, that's all that matters.
Tom, have your opinions been swayed at all by these conversations?
I mean, okay, first of all, I love how all over the place our perspectives are on this. It's actually really interesting. If I have an opinion, though, I do feel like I think it's in the heart and mind of the rider and their trick selection, because I can go to a parking lot with my 26-inch and have a fun-ass time doing almost all the same tricks. Like, I can do most of the same tricks on my two bikes, and like, yeah, certain moves are going to look more awkward on one versus the other, but like, I can do a lot of the same stuff, and I can extract joy from either one of them. And I kind of come down to the rider's perspective. Now, that doesn't work for, okay, you see the bike stand there, how you define it. what I'm saying doesn't help with any of that. But my handle to a parking lot and do some spins, I can have a great old time. And I guess I was doing trick track that whole time, but I don't really know. I don't. So I guess I'm more aligned with Pizza on this one. That to me, when I'm defining it, it comes down to what I'm doing with it, not strictly what it is. Because you can make like when I did my little bike check video the other day, and I was doing grinds on my cutter. That's a trick track bike, but in theory, a fixed gear freestyle move. So I don't really know. I'm not helping here, but that I feel I per one and sort of how you're feeling about it.
Okay.
Tom, I have a question for you. And I'm sorry that I don't remember this. Did you ever have any dual 26-inch fixed gear bikes? Rear 26?
Okay, well, so Mike Schmitt inspired me to put dual 26s on my Thrasher back in the day, and that was a lot of fun, actually. That was before any the Vandal stuff came out, for sure, Mike was the one that pushed me over the edge on, when I saw him doing it, I was like, oh, okay, I can do that, because, I never wanted to do miss that looked like a cop-out. Not cheating, but, it was just, it. But then there's a ton of a logical argument for switching to the most common wheel size in the whole world that you can buy readily, that I can run bigger tire size. They're going to bend less frequently, because I always had janky beat up setups, still do, and my wheels were wobbling all over the place out of true. So you can get away with a bit more with a smaller wheel that fits in the frame. So yeah, I had, and then eventually the Thrasher came out. The Vandal. Sorry, that's my Vandal prototype, and then I have a production Vandal as well. But I've never had a modern G.
Yeah, I think since I'm the last person, thanks for explaining that. I think it helps me think about this a little bit too, because I think that's why your perspective is more trick track oriented for what it is. But I'm gonna say a blanket statement that trick track can fall into fixed gear freestyle, but fixed gear freestyle doesn't fall into trick track.
Oh,
No, if I were just to tell somebody, hey, look at those group of kids over there. There's some kids on 26-inch rough codes. There's some kids on Thrashers. There's some kids on whatever. I'm just going to be like, yeah, they're doing fixed gear freestyle. They might be bar spinning a stair set. Somebody might be doing fakey wheelie. Somebody's doing a foot drag spin.
Fish and chips. What about a fish and chips, which I would say is a trick track trick? You can do that on the 26-inch. You could do it on a rough or a master, high tech, and that fish and chips I wouldn't say is a fixed gear freestyle trick. I think, and I'm sorry.
I'm just saying the umbrella term I would refer, and this is my stance now, Mike. My umbrella term for everything would be that it all falls under fixed gear freestyle, because that's where we're at now. I do agree, though, that there are differentiations in the bikes where, and this is, I have a hard time in that little gray area that we were talking about, which is the Thrasher shadow zone, because I think you guys were on your grimes at that point. So you were starting fixed gear freestyle, which in my head, I was riding fixed gear freestyle because I was doing the same tricks as you and trying to push the sport in the same way, but not on that same geometry yet. So in my head, I would definitely say the Sizemore and maybe the Shadow, to me, are fixed gear freestyle bikes, because they were a very clear differentiation for me in my riding than the TRK, even though I was obviously one of the last people to go to 26. So that's probably why I feel that way in that gray zone. But I would say TRK and before is the trick track, right? It was designed for tricks as a fixed gear, but not in that big change in geometry level. They were basically track bikes that could fit wider tires and were a little bit more durable. And then, so I definitely agree on that part. And then I 100% agree that all the 26-inch dual, negative bottom bracket stuff those are fixed gear freestyle bikes. I would never call that a trick track bike, right? You can do trick track tricks on it, but that is a fixed gear freestyle bike. That little middle zone is, I would say, more confusing for me just from my perspective. But I think I can agree with the general buckets that we've kind of laid out there.
I definitely agree that a trick track bike can be doing fixed gear freestyle tricks, and that is where it gets slippery. And I think it's because the name of the action we're trying to define by the name of the bike, where it doesn't necessarily, if we're talking about bikes, to me, clear differentiation. But yeah, sure, there are people who can be doing fixed gear freestyle tricks on a non-fixed gear freestyle bike, a bike that was designed before the term was ever made, or a bike that looks similar to it. And I think fixed gear freestyle is ridden by people on bikes with BB drop as well as people with like negative BB. And I completely agree with you there. Are they always doing it on a fixed gear freestyle bike? No. And I think it's tough because like there's not a genre of music just called guitar. Like guitar plays all these different genres where it's like we're like, oh, I ride a fixed gear bike, and so like, and you ride a fixed gear bike, so we're playing the same song. And it's like, well, no, it's a different instrument. But I do think you can play the same song. Like,
they're all good points. They're all good points. I kind of like.
Wait, so now I feel like all of you are agreeing with what I said earlier. The bikes and the action are two different things, but one can be doing
that's
the
what
other.
I said.
I don't think we.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I was the first one to say that actually.
the whole purpose is like
Kareem wins.
Kareem wins.
What was the original question? What was the very original actual question? Because it was about bikes, or was it about the terms?
And then I said that.
It was about the whole thing.
It was about both, Tyler, and we've been confusing them the whole time. That's what I tried to clear up and then got shut down.
I think we all have a closer agreement on there's definitive definitions for the bikes, right? I think we all agree. Where that exact transition is, we disagree slightly, but there's a period where we clearly all agree that there is a transition from trick track to fixed gear freestyle, right? The definition of exactly where that is, I think, is blurry. Mike has a clear definition, but for me, it's blurrier. But I agree, it's probably the same year.
2010 was the switch.
2010.
So there we go. 2010, it went from trick track to fixed gear freestyle, and then it came back to trick track in 2017 or whenever people started doing it.
So can we say that?
No, but it's like the creation of fixed gear freestyle did not kill trick track. It's just been around. Maybe like all subcultures do, they like get lower. And
yeah. That's a good way to think about it.
But fixed gear, street fixed gear culture has been alive and well for a while. It's just like sometimes it's focused on Messenger, sometimes it's in a lull, sometimes it's focused on like whatever.
I don't think anyone said it killed it, did it? Did we?
No, but I feel like he was
people
saying
stopped
that
writing it. People stopped writing.
The creation of fixed gear freestyle immediately killed it. It's just everyone kind of made the transition. Yeah. Even Tom did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to explore that stuff too.
Yeah.
So
it was fun.
Basically, if a frame was made in 2009 before, we can automatically call it a trick track bike.
I would say.
If it was intended for tricks and not a track bike, yes.
So this includes the Bruiser, the Scissor, 2 Trick Stars, and the Volume.
I don't know.
TRK.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. The Scissor. Sorry, I was thinking the Cutter. The first Cutter was a track bike
with gussets.
Did it have gussets?
I would say the Cutter is trick track to me. I would say that is not. It's made by a BMX company.
I think
the V1 is a track bike.
Had shitty tire clearance.
The V1 is a track bike. The V1 is a track bike.
Hear me out.
But I would say the FBM Sword is a track bike.
The FBM Sword is also a track bike.
Wait. Hear me out. I think the difference between a trick track bike, or no, the difference between maybe a trick track bike and a track bike is gussets.
What about frame lugs?
Grime Goat.
The difference between that would be I would call the Volume Cutter, the V1, a fixed gear. A track bike is something that was designed for the track.
There were people racing on those at the track in San Diego. I remember it.
But it wasn't designed for it.
Really?
Yeah, at the velodrome.
San Diego Breeze is special.
That was a fixed gear. That was a street fixed gear. That's what it was.
Somebody has to clip Mike for that. That was a great.
We rode our track bikes off the track, but if we're calling something a track bike, it was designed for the track.
The very first Volume Cutter V1 ad has Alfredo Mancuso doing a tuck no hander on it.
Yeah, but that guy's whack. We don't like him. That guy's whack.
Wait, that's the very first one from what year?
2008.
That's a trick track.
I'm saying so. It's trick track, not track bike.
Yeah,
I would say so because it came with a fork that was a trick fork, and it was made by a BMX.
No, it couldn't bar spin. It had like a regular track fork.
Yeah, it did.
Oh yeah.
What is a regular track?
It was like a generic kind of like Taiwan factory fork that you could get.
Gear or a street track bike, but not a track bike to an Olympic spec. but a street one.
Race bike.
Yeah, I mean, there's like bikes like the Langster and stuff that were kind of more designed
That
for
was a
street
fixed
riding.
gear.
That plenty of
That was
people
not a
rode on the
track
track.
I would say Langster's a track bike.
Oh no,
even though
I've
it's like-
devolved this too much.
Yeah, this is your fault, Deacon.
I'm sorry.
There were Langsters that were designed for the track, and then there were Langsters that were designed as fixed gears for the street because they had coffee cup holders built into the handlebars.
Sick.
Like all the city
Well,
edition
The
Langsters.
city edition
Yeah.
didn't have the coffee cup things, and they were
What?
still
The
designed
Seattle
for
one
street.
did. The Seattle one had a coffee cup
I think it's
built
just
into
the Seattle one because
Maybe it
Seattle
was
is
just the
coffee.
Seattle one. I don't remember any of the other ones having a coffee cup holder. And I remember a ton of people riding those at the track.
Now we're on the
So
whole new
what?
topic.
this is-
All right. I think we can segue, Jay. I think
I'm sorry.
I think we can
I'm sorry.
segue.
What is a bicycle?
Segue to what?
Is there more topics?
Wait,
that
I
we
got a
need to
quick
get to?
question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got 1,000. Do you guys anticipate any continued evolution of the name of all this stuff, or are we kind of settled in?
I think we settled.
I hope not.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Fix your freestyle and trick track. I'm good.
Starting a
with
whole
that.
new thing.
We
Yeah.
devolved. We devolved to riding fixed gear. I'm riding fixed gear. He's riding fixed gear, like Mike said.
The blanket term.
We just-
fixed gear.
We just fully adopt the blanket term, and then everybody's happy.
It's a fixed
If
gear.
I'm
that
talking
can
to a
free
stranger,
roll.
I say fixed gear tricks. I don't use either of the terms because people don't know these terms. I say fixed gear tricks, or I do tricks on fixed gear bikes, or I even say that I do tricks on weird bikes you've never even fucking heard of because nobody's heard of this stuff, and it's a whole can of worms. And why am I going to open up the can of worms to some stranger?
Yeah, I just tell people it's like a big BMX.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I just don't talk to people.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's-
Yeah, it's an imaginary situation. I don't actually talk to people.
Okay, let's we've
In
been
the
going.
wilderness of Canada.
I didn't think we were gonna keep on that topic for an hour and a half. but
Really?
We kept
Really?
on that topic for an hour and a half.
Really? You didn't think so?
No, I thought we were gonna fucking just all agree
No.
pretty quickly and move on.
No.
But let's before we let you guys go, there's a few Discord topics which I think are pretty interesting to tackle. If you want to join a group of 400 plus fixed gear trick enthusiasts, join our Discord. Links in description. Let's start with a classic off-track question. Crispy asked, "Is a croissant a sandwich?"
Jesus Christ, Crispy. God damn it.
Is a croissant a sandwich?
I think
Have
I
you
think
cut
you
it
need
and
to
fin it?
specify what it is.
Yeah, because a croissant
I'm
itself
leaving
is just
for
a
this.
piece of bread.
Yeah.
I'm leaving
No.
for this.
No.
This is gonna piss
I
me
think-
off.
Is he
That's
referring to my stuffed
doing on the
croissant?
croissant?
I think he's referring to stuffed croissant.
Okay, so it's a
I say
croissant.
yes.
Like a ham and cheese croissant is cutting a piece of bread,
No.
a croissant in half, and making a sandwich out of it. So you can use it as bread if
Mike,
you want.
Mike, I will send a picture in the Discord chat.
You're talking about the ones that they roll
That's
it into
wrong.
the dough and then they actually.
That's wrong. Yes, because there are two different types. There's a ham and
It's a
cheese
pastry.
croissant.
If they roll it into a dough, it's just a pastry. It's not a sandwich.
No, it's okay. That's where it is, right? So there's two different, like you said, the one where there's Tyler said it's rolled into the dough versus the other one where the croissant is cut already baked and it's cut in half and then it's put
Oh,
inside
God.
it. That is a sandwich.
Can I stop
The
this
one that Tyler's
conversation
Yeah,
here?
it's gonna.
We're
It's gonna
spend
piss
too
me off.
much
It's 9
time.
o'clock.
I regret.
All
All
right, let's let's not talk about it. Let's just say whether you think it's a rolled, baked in ham and cheese croissant is a sandwich or not. Just go yes
The
or no.
question didn't even specify. Whoever crispy is, just ask blanket croissant, which
Yeah,
is like,
which is
all right, then
definitely a no.
Okay.
Answer's
I
no,
think this is
because
one of those
croissant is
inside
not a
joke
sandwich.
situations.
I'm gonna axe this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna axe this right now. Crispy, you gotta get more specific next time. You're fucking causing chaos here.
Oh my
Uh,
god, it's not
okay.
gonna be pissed.
This is a good one. Clark Street asks, if you could get rid of one trick from existence, what would you get rid of? Deacon, start.
Do I
my
have
answer
one?
already.
I don't know. Skip me.
All right, I'll go. ETs. Fuck ETs. Kareem, go. Least favorite trick.
Oh, I'm good. I got it. I'm back.
Yeah, go
Correction
back to
hop.
Deacon, I think.
Correction hop. Fuck a correction hop.
That's not a trick.
It's not trick, but I would also vote for that to be.
It has a name. It's a trick. It's when
not a
somebody does it,
trick.
you go,
No,
damn, that was a correction
That is not
hop.
a trick. You don't do it
No,
on
because
purpose.
a pedal set's not a trick. Because I would just kill pedal sets. I would say like, oh, like if like just don't do it because it looks bad. Like just film the clip again. But like That's not a trick, so I can't say
We
that.
can't all be like you, Mike. We can't all be like
No, you
that,
just
man.
you just keep trying.
Okay, I got mine.
Go, Tyler.
I don't know that we don't have a specific name for it, but it's the fall down foot plant spin, where it's like you stop almost in the foot plant. Like if people do it to save their fall and then keep going in their thing, that I would kill. I like intentional.
Oh, where you put your full weight on it and kind of stand on it.
Yes, versus like a
Yeah,
keto.
the
He did like
kickstand.
the actual like foot plant where you popped up. That's a different thing, and a foot drag is a different
Drag
thing.
and
It's
kick
the one
off.
where you can tell that they were falling. They put their foot down and kept their thing going. That I would get rid of.
Yeah, there are some people that kind of stand on that foot too long.
So that's my thing.
Good answer. Whoever just thinks of one, feel free.
Double bar
Go ahead,
spins.
pizza.
Double bar
Double bar
spins?
spins.
Why?
Yeah, we get it, dude. You're cool. You can do 2 bar spins at one time in the air. Just throw the one, bro.
Does that
Just throw
include
the
straight
one.
double bar? Because I feel like straight double bar is a completely different trick. That's
Double bar spins in general are just.
If it goes
we don't
around
need
twice,
that.
Pizza don't want to see it.
dang. He can't do one,
hop
so
double
he's
bar
getting.
spins. Yeah,
He
yeah,
can't do one, so he's mad at the people that can do 2.
Hop double bar spins, not regular pull-up bar spins. Hop double bar spins.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go back to Tom, where he said you're trying too fucking hard.
Ready.
I would just say stationary bars where your rear tire doesn't leave the ground. I think pop-up bar is a cool trick. Like if people can casually pop a bar into wheelie or while they're wheeling, or just like quick pop-up bar and then put it down. But I think when you're stationary in a track stand, I don't love the bar. I'd rather see like a fish and chips or like go into like a big spin or like anything like that where I enjoy when people throw the bars, but not if their bike's not moving.
Very
I thought of one.
specific. Go.
Just ripping off of what Mike said. I feel like when people do track stand combos, it just doesn't do anything for me. And so even if they're like insanely hard and they're like upside down and their head is in the spokes, like it just does zero to get me stoked. So I would say the track stand combos.
I love birds, by the way, but I do think it's like a bike.
He already did it. He already did it.
Coolest when it's moving.
Yeah.
Like none of us can argue that the bike, this machine that we all love, designed to move, whether you want to call it whatever you want to call it, whether you want to go backwards or forwards, it looks coolest when it's actually being used like a machine.
Yeah, we got to
J
go
Ball,
fast.
I feel like
We need to go faster.
it's always been that way for me too.
J-Ball, I got mine. I locked in my real one.
What is it?
It's the tire tab where the wheel is still moving after you tap it.
Yeah, I agree. Don't slap it.
All right. So only grabs.
I want the
Tire
wheel to
grabs.
stop spinning.
It's
Yeah, I
called
want
a
the wheel
tire
to
grab
stop
for a
spinning.
reason.
Tire slap.
All right.
I've never liked the aesthetics of Mike has done lots of good ones of these, but the grind where it's like a double peg, but you're like crossed over the rail, like
Crook?
I don't know what it's
Crook?
called. I just never loved the
Crook?
aesthetics of those. No, like a double peg, like your back is on one side, your front's on the other.
Yeah, crooked.
Yeah,
Going along the rail.
yeah, crooked. Yeah, crooked. Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just never loved the look of them, like in BMX and any genre. It just doesn't do it for me. It always looks like a mistake. It always looks kind of sloppy.
I thought Mike did some pretty good ones.
Done right. Like it's a personal preference thing.
Yeah, roll a clip.
Mike.
I got my. I
Start by
have
saying
another
you've done
one.
lots of good ones, Mike.
Go,
Did you
Tyler.
use your shit-footedness to kind of hold yourself in them better?
That's all I know, so I wouldn't say better. I would just that's how I ride.
I feel like you could lock them in a way that I didn't see other people doing it.
I can do pedal crook as well as regular crook.
Yeah, you would do
Hmm.
crooks on ledges where your pedal would be like on one side and your peg would be on the other. It's crazy.
Yeah, like that Dave Beard photo.
Yeah, that's great. You have to have your specific fuck-footedness and setup to be able to do that.
Hal, you said you had another one?
Yeah, I have one more trick and then one more comment. The trick would just be double pegs on bikes that have positive bottom bracket drop.
Ooh,
Whether
that's
that's
a good one.
pegs or axles,
Trick
I
track
think it is
bikes.
just horrible looking, and that's like some of the worst stuff in the old. While they were pushing progression, I appreciate it. It just looked bad, which is why I never did them until I had negative bottom bracket drop. But My comment is, I think it's really funny that J-Ball would get rid of ETs when he's the man that pedaled the most in the air of anybody. Period.
This is a slander of my good name, and I won't stand for it. I was
half crank, backwards half crank, ET on every trick.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of my horrid past. I don't do that anymore. I'm not that man anymore.
I appreciate it. You already eliminated it.
That's not true. That's not true. No, now he pedals forwards on his double pegs and he gets his crank stuck.
Oh god, that's
common.
I don't want to talk about that.
Gear ratio.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. I would backpedal on a lot of tricks back in the day just to clear my bar spins. But now I learned to tuck my toes. It was a really hard habit to unlearn, actually.
I bet.
Fucked me up.
You did like wall ride 180 bar or something and then would do like a half crank in the 180 bar after pedaling forward. That's wild. I don't even know how you did it.
It just was a habit. I wouldn't even think twice about that happening. It just would happen.
Is it from getting toe overlap?
Yeah, it started on my cutter. And it just developed into a really bad habit. So that's actually probably why I want to get rid of ETs, because I have firsthand experience doing them backwards. Okay, Marcus asks, do strapless tricks count?
Of course they count.
I feel like they double count.
So strapless.
I like to say it doesn't count, but it's like you still did a 360. It's just like part of fixed gear is this like incredible connection to the bike where it becomes an extension of you. So it's like, like you did a 360, but you weren't part of the bike. So sure, you maneuvered the bike to 3 down the set, but would I say that like it was a true fixed gear 360? No, because you're not strapped in, but you did a 3.
What's the Euro guy's name? I'm blanking.
Yuri.
Amazing rider. Doesn't use the straps, right? He's phenomenal. But I agree with Mike that there's an element of riding fixed gears where it's like being strapped in is part of it. Do you have to have it to ride one? No, but to me, that's just like it is an integral part of my experience riding fixed gears. It's actually funny because I just saw somebody just riding a regular street fixed gear bike, dual brakes, and no straps. And I was like, what's the point of that? Of even having a fixed drivetrain in this? You're just making it harder on yourself to ride around. You can't skid, and you've got brakes to slow down. So, I don't think it takes anything away from his, especially him in particular, because he rides like pretty clean in general. Like his skip pops aren't crazy looking for the most part. And so I think that is like one of probably the best examples of somebody that does it really well. But I do think there's an element of being strapped into the bike too that has made fixed gear freestyle a little more tricky, and that's part of the thing. Like any BMX rider gets on and it's like, how the hell do you do this strapped in? They're like, that blows their mind as part of it. And so for me, I do think it's like an integral part of it, even if I would still count all the tricks he does as counting.
I think Yori is the first strapless rider I've seen to actually embody full fixed gear control still without straps.
What about Boothby?
Boothby.
He looks really smooth when he rides.
Yeah, but sometimes he would just flip it. A lot of times he would also just like flip it out and like just ride nothing.
Really?
Who?
Boothby.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he would do a trick though that was like, I don't know, a flat 3 or something, you saw him strap in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the tricks count. So to answer the question, I think we all agree the tricks count.
Yeah,
they do.
For sure.
It's just frowned upon by all of us.
Yeah, Marcus, you're frowned upon. Kareem's bias for sure.
You're not committed.
Okay. Pinoy Cowboy asks, what's more...
Lucas.
What?
Lucas. That's his name. His name's Lucas.
That's your name.
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah,
J-Ball, you don't know everyone's first name?
God damn it.
I don't know Pinoy. Are you thinking of Pony Factory?
Yeah.
That's not Pinoy Cowboy.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. All right, well.
Those are different words.
God damn it.
Racism.
God damn it.
That's
Wow.
what's up, man.
Wow.
Anyways.
You thought
Take it back. Take it back, Mike. Take it back, Mike. Take it back.
Oh fuck! All
Canceled.
right. We're back.
You supported the racist.
Pinoy
It's
Cowboy.
not racist, dude. All
Asked-
right, go ahead. Sorry.
What's more fun, pound for pound, 700C or 26-inch?
What are you doing? Depends on what you're doing, I guess. Like,
I guess it's more of like, what do you guys think is more fun, riding trick track or riding 26-inch?
Depends.
my arm didn't dislocate, or like soon it will never because I just got it surgery. But for like the last 10 years, I haven't been able to ride the bike that I think is more fun. But I would say I'm happier riding the 26. Like, sure, it's easy to commute on the 700, but I don't like
More
to
fun.
get like my seat uppercutting my like taint every time I jump the bike around. Like, I want to like
Got a point.
pick it up, you
Got a
know.
point.
How does Slum avoid his high seat when he does BMX stuff?
I don't know. He jumps so high,
I don't get it.
and his seat is so high.
Dude, he avoids.
It's crazy.
I would get sacked every single time trying to.
Or like your leg goes underneath the seat,
Oh, it gets
like because he does the sideways tuck, but he never gets stuck ever.
Oh man.
He's real good at avoiding that seat. I don't get it.
I say it depends on the day because, like you said, you have a good 26 day, but also the day we did Tarck on top of the parking structure, that was also a good day. You know,
What did you do?
Unbelievable.
Okay, but that's crazy because I think if I can look at the group chat, if I look at the group chat, J-Ball also said, I need a Tarck day. I mean, I
Now
might
you're
be
throwing
wrong.
people under the
No.
bus.
No. You will not.
Oh, the truth comes out.
It's not true. He's just lying. This guy's
I'm
lying.
looking at the group chat right now. Let me-
Piling onto the childhood
up.
bullying.
What up?
Need the receipts.
He's gonna
Let
get
me
proven
see.
wrong. He didn't even know fucking Lucas's name. He thought Pinoy Cowboy was the same.
Okay,
as
that's two different
Pony
things.
Factory.
Boo.
He was just saying his own
wait.
name.
Wait.
How big were the tires on your bike? How big were the tires on the bike you bought?
35C.
Don't you not even have a 700C bike right now, Pizza?
Yeah, but it's in the works.
Oh, zero cloud, making these calls.
Can that focus? Can that focus? It says J-Ball right there. Come on, focus, dude.
Oh, I think he's
It
lying,
says,
guys.
no,
J-Ball,
it says it
J-Ball,
right
don't show his
there.
screen.
It
Don't
says
show his screen.
Tarck. It
You
literally
edit these.
says,
This is
if
slander.
and I quote, if you come here, we can Tarck at the basketball courts after smiley face.
J-Ball, cut it out of the episode. It never happened.
Yeah, but was
It's
J-Ball
right
talking?
there.
Was J-Ball talking about riding
Airing
his
the dirty
Bianchi?
laundry.
I was talking
No, this was back. This
I
was back
talking
in
about my new-
March.
I was talking about my new
Damn.
Cortec. Look, you caught me
Damn.
red-handed. I used the
Damn.
word. I used the word. I said the slur. Okay. I said
Hardly
it.
a slur.
Who pay him?
Unbelievable.
I
My
said
name is good again.
You know why? though?
You're allowed to say it if you now take that bike to San Diego.
I'm not.
You just got to get on the track now.
I'm defending myself for Tom's sake here. I said I typed
You don't
Tarck.
have to.
I typed Tarck because it was quicker to type.
Maybe
It's
you were trying to
because-
write track, but it misspelled.
Yeah. It's because you
That
knew we were
finger
too dumb to understand the term trick track, so you used the common lineage of the word.
Yeah, I used the native tongue.
I want to go back to the question.
Yeah,
because
what's
I
more
feel
fun?
like you need to answer it, J-Ball. You're the only one that rides both the most, probably, and the best. So what is more fun for you, 700C or 26-inch?
26.
Don't think.
26
Boom.
inch. Every time. It's because I've pound for pound compared the feeling of riding both, and I get bored quicker on the trick track bike
Because you're more
I think
limited.
it's the BB drop.
because of the BB drop. I get bored because of the BB drop trick track bike, but I didn't get bored on my BB drop FGFS divide though. I was still able to do the fixed gear freestyle stuff, but anyways, the answer is
26.
26 inches more fun because I am nearly limitless.
For me,
Well, you have
it's
more terrain that you can ride on a 26.
Exactly. The parking
On a
lot
trick
gets
track, you're
boring.
just on the ground.
for me, the answer would be riding whatever my friends are riding. at my point in my cycling thing, the thing that's most fun is riding with other people doing the same thing. So that's a road ride. Cool, we're going on a road ride. If that's a mountain bike ride, that's a mountain bike ride. If it's trick track because we want a trick track. I don't actually care about the difference between riding the two anymore.
Do you want to give us a
Just
quick
a wheel
update?
man.
Do you want to give us a quick update, Tyler, on like where you've been with fixed gear? Because you came back for a sec and built up like 4 fixed gear bikes and then moved on to road biking, it seems.
Yeah, because I have anybody to ride fixed gears with. I'm not gonna go do it by myself. I'll just get hurt and then
That's fair.
Real. And I can't film myself, so that doesn't help. I was riding a fair bit, and Jacob filmed some stuff. Let's ask him where it's at, because I haven't seen any of it in years, so I don't think...
Yeah, I've got like 10 years of footage with Jacob.
Yeah. Jacob has all of the footage. If you want a fixed gear freestyle revival, just have him upload it all.
CSK full length.
But I was going up to Seattle and riding with him a bit during that time frame, which was really fun. But for me, like I would be totally down to go ride fixed gear freestyle if I had somebody to ride it with. That's not an hour away, only. So yeah, don't ride very much. I have a 26-inch and I have my track bike. I've slimmed down all of my bikes this past year. I sold like 4 or 5 bikes just to kind of clear out the garage.
Do you not have a Tech anymore?
No Tech.
Sad.
Who'd you sell it to?
The track bike guy.
Track bike guy.
I sold him a bunch of fixed gear stuff. The SF guy that has his own little story.
Oh, Track Lab.
Track Lab.
Patrick
Fixie King.
Yeah. So I sold him like NV, Track Fork, and a bunch of other like track cranks and stuff that I had. I was just trying to do what was easiest to move as much stuff out of my garage as possible. So that worked out well. But yeah, and then I started a road bike company because I have a lot of people around here that I can ride road bikes with, and that's fun. For me, I just enjoy riding bicycles, period. Doesn't really matter what kind it is. I have a good time doing it. And yeah, sometimes it's BMX, sometimes it's road bikes, sometimes it's mountain bikes, whatever. As long as I can get somebody else to go with me, then it's a good time.
Good answer.
I have a question regarding your basic cycles, your frame. I've been wanting to ask you this question for a long time now. What is that second tube on the bottom? Like you have the regular top tube, and then you have that. I'm novice to that, right?
It's a frame pump.
I'm
noob.
Okay, all right. Frame pump. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just a pump, like a pump, but it the way that it holds onto your bike is it's like compressed in between your head tube and your seat tube, and so then you kind of pull it out, and there's the little rubber stopper you can like wedge in there. And then I got it painted to match because that's the baller move.
For sure. I was like, what is that thing? Why is there a second top tube on there? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really see it outside of like steel road bikes, really. I mean, some people put them on other stuff, but it's primarily like a pretty niche thing. I've never seen anybody riding it. Well, I've ridden around with my track bike with a frame pump on, but most people don't.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you, sir.
Tom, what do you have more fun riding?
Okay, so the other day, I took my son to the skate park and I strapped to the roof of my car both of my bikes, my 26 and my 700, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to play with. And at the skate park, the cutter, because I thought that's what it was so awkward and awful. It wasn't really that good of a time, and I quickly switched over to the 26 and had way more fun. But I was just kind of trying to do BMX kind of stuff because there were some BMX guys there and whatever. But what I really wanted to be doing was just nerding out, doing my spins and crap on my cutter. And when it was Tom's night out to go film my bike check, I wasn't just doing the cutter because of nostalgia. Like that's actually the kind of riding I'm most inspired and excited to be pursuing. Like I want to get back to work on seeing what I can do because I don't know, like we all continued evolving into whatever was next. And then I still feel like I have a bit of unfinished business on what I had always hoped Trick Track was going to be. Like, I think the Core-Tech is like a perfect example of like a bike that can fit big enough tires and is strong enough to do all the kind of moves you want to do. But like it can still be a bike you can ride fast. It can do all the things. And I don't know, I personally have the most excitement and fun trying to figure out what's going to be possible on something shaped more like a cutter than shaped like a 26. I don't, and like if I wanted the limitless thing, I would just go ride BMX. I don't know.
Interesting. So do you think that 26-inch fixed gear shouldn't exist?
Wow.
That's a crazy one.
I have no. I mean, things did evolve to a place that I didn't anticipate, and I thought things were going to look more like maybe like Corey's bike or like the Cortec, where it was just like still more on our, but then is tough enough and able to do the kind of things you want to do. They just kept evolving, and like not for any bad reasons. It was what people desired and the direction things went. But I always wanted a bike like a Cortec, or I mean, like a Thrasher that wasn't a pig. I don't know.
So
You know
Cortec.
what I mean? Yeah. And that, so when Cortec came out, I was like, damn, that is the bike that I always wanted.
Nice.
Sounds
So,
like you need to get one.
Yeah.
Kareem, hook it
I still
up.
hope to pursue that. That's what I have the most fun doing. Trick track, yeah. And I'm gonna be doing grinds, but I also want to do like spins and shit. And like, I don't really care about what trick set is. Oh, only these ones fit into whatever category. I don't really give a fuck. It's what when I go out and I'm at a spot, I'm gonna figure out whatever things I want to do there, and I'm not gonna be dictated by anything. It's just sort of what I feel like doing, and I want to see what I can do at those spots with a trick track bike. So that's personally where I'm at.
Cool. So Tom has felt more fun on 700C. Tyler has fun doing whatever his friends are doing. Mike would have more fun on 26-inch if his body would allow it. Pizza didn't answer, I don't think. He's muted though. Deacon, did you have an answer?
Do you want the fixed gear answer or the real answer?
Your answer is mountain bike. That's your answer.
Mountain biking. It's been pretty fun.
All right, that's your answer.
But 26 or 700? That's the question.
I can't ride a 700 mountain bike.
Hey, so 26.
My legs are too small.
And then Kareem, you are also a rider of both.
Yeah. For me, it just kind of depends on what I feel like doing that day. Also, injuries come into play a lot. So if I'm more hurt, probably the trick track bike is what I'd be riding. And actually, to be honest, I haven't really ridden 26 much over the last probably 5 years. It's only recently since I moved to LA that I've been riding more. So right now I'm kind of enjoying riding the 26 probably more than anything else, just because it's been so long since I've done it and starting to get all my old tricks back and learning some new things. So that's kind of keeping it fresh for me.
Nice. Yeah, you had some good clips in the recent SMC Schmixtape that just dropped.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Big bar spin
Very
bag.
impressive riding.
Thank you. On behalf of the whole crew.
My answer, I guess, would have to be 26, just because I'm riding 26 a lot more. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll ask. We're pretty much out of time here. We're at 2 hours. I'm gonna pick one more Discord question before we move into the bonus with whoever decides to stick around. Whoever can leave if they want. Let's do Ben from Bennett. He asks, what is the best frame you've ever ridden? In the past, in now, what is the best frame you've ridden? Deacon, go ahead.
It has to be a tie between the Cortec and the High Tech. My boss is here.
Good answer. You just earned sponsor points.
Pro model coming next year.
Now you have to tag this with ad on YouTube.
Yeah. Kareem? Same answer?
Same answer. I mean, the reason I designed both of those bikes was to suit basically my riding first and foremost. So they feel perfect to me.
Mike?
I'm gonna say I just really liked the Grime Ghost medium. I felt like that was like the bike design for like me and my riding preferences, but also I feel like the goat was like there was still a gradient of like geometry kind of shrinking down, where that was like kind of the silhouette that now I would say most all bikes have followed. But I've also enjoyed other bikes afterwards. I really enjoyed the Destroyer Unicorn Killer. I thought that was like a really great bike. I love my master frame, the Jimmy Wacha edition, trans teal one. So out of the bikes I currently have, I enjoy riding that master and the mash. But all time, I would say Ghost medium.
Good answer. Classic, of course, the frame you designed.
Well, curls as well, but yeah.
Pizza?
I guess they're rough now. I think it's just because I've done more things and learned more things on it. But my keepsake frame would definitely be the Showtime. Yeah.
Oh.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, that's one of my favorites
Like
in the back
how
in the
it
day.
felt
You hear about
more?
that?
Yeah,
Whoa.
the only thing I didn't not felt more. Well, it was like
Whoa.
close tie for sure. But there was like a the only thing I didn't like about it was had definitely had to be the tire clearance. But coming back into that one, that's probably one of the ones that was near and dear for sure. I don't know why. I just
That's the
Showtime
only
is
thing.
good to me.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
It's everything. Anyways, next.
Tom?
I feel like I'm judged for it.
So the bike, I didn't own it. It wasn't, but I around Philip Arellano's bike at Interbike one year. I don't even know what it was. It was so dialed. It was a 26. Just it felt so fucking good, and I wish I knew what it was because it felt really, really good. Like he just brought it by the booth and I goofed around on it, and it was it was a really nice bike. We could probably figure this out, but
Charmer.
maybe. And it was like put together really well, and all of my bikes, of course, have always been janky pieces of shit. So I was like, "Oh my god, this is so solid." But personal bikes, I liked my first cutter. I had the black one. I don't know why, because it was like the first transition from like all the other bullshit bikes I'd had to like the first purpose-built trick bike. And I remember, I felt like I personally all these new tools when that step happened. So I'll always have like a bit of a affinity for that one. And then like current one, I still love my glow in the dark cutter just because I like my cutters and I have whatever the emotional attachment to them, but I still have fun playing on it.
Yeah. I guess you don't have a wide array of bikes you've tried to really compare them to, huh?
People like in Toronto had a whole bunch of other ones, like when I was riding there and I would try their bike, but the setups would feel so weird that it was just so foreign that like it didn't feel good, and I didn't feel like I could do my stuff because it just wasn't like what I was settled in. My bike was technically, I felt like I could perform better on it. But like I tried a lot of the other ones, but I've definitely never tried like a fully modern 26 one. Like I don't even know what that feels like.
Maybe.
It's great.
Feels easy.
It's great.
Yeah, I bet it looks fun.
We'll hopefully get you on one soon. It's because I have an extra rough frame that I think I'm going to send to Tom.
There you go.
Tyler.
That'd be
your
sweet.
favorite bike?
Well, so it's what our favorite bike was?
What's the best feeling bike that out of all the bikes you've ridden?
I'm gonna say Leader Shadow.
No. I would probably say the Sky Limit. I think the best I ever rode was on the Sky Limit. So I would say that that's probably the best feeling bike that I
Was
had.
that the prototype or with the one that was made by Brad?
The prototype. I only had one Sky Limit ever.
The first ones were pretty sick.
Yeah,
I
the
think
one
they
that
were
I
made
got
by-
was made by Standard, maybe, I think.
Yeah, the ones that were made by Standard VMX were sick.
Were the Brad ones different?
The Nem Pro ones just weren't as good.
I never saw one. But I think that bike, like, if I think back to my riding during that time period, it was just like everything was so easy feeling. I could just kind of do whatever if I could think of doing it, I could do it. And so I would say that's probably my favorite feeling bike. But that was also probably
The
contributing.
risers with no crossbar were sick
Yeah.
back then. They would bend, but they looked so sick.
Yeah.
Well, I had the NS ones.
Look, Tom has.
After I bent my sky limits.
Look, Tom has sky limit bars.
Yeah. And look, they're bent.
They look bad.
Yeah, I bent my sky limit bars while filming the edit for them. And then I told Colby about it. He was like, oh, yeah, I've already had like 4 other people that have bent them. And I was like, wait, why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah.
So I ended up running the NS bars for the rest of the time, and those never bent. Those bars were sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that was my best feeling bike, because I feel like that was the period where I just could do whatever I wanted to do on a bike. So
yeah. Your 26-inch sky limit bike and riding was so good.
Really good.
thanks, guys.
I always love that edit.
My answer is the Rough, Glimmer, and the Master Cortec. But if I was going to go into the past and I couldn't pick one of my current bikes, it would be when I had a small divide with alter riser bars. That was a good feeling bike.
I can't even imagine what that looks like.
It basically looks like a All City Death Wish with congoloids, but slightly taller. The altar bars were cool. There were only a handful of pairs, though.
Was that a bomb track?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I was like, I can't picture when era this is. So bomb track divide.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
It was a good feeling bike. Everything felt it was just like it was tight and compact. Bar spin clearance wasn't great because of it, but it just felt nice to do everything on.
But that was like your edits where you were starting to do a lot of tricks that other people couldn't do, even on 700C, right?
I think
like
so.
That time frame.
Yeah.
So obviously it was a good feeling bike.
Yeah, it actually took me a long time to adjust from 700C to like 26-inch. I was like real bow-legged at first on the 26-inch, and like tricks were squirrely, and it was hard for me to adjust to. It took like years to get comfortable on a 26.
Was the biggest difference not having like the seat and seat post and up so high in between your knees?
Yeah. Yeah, there was just no... my legs just had nothing to grab onto.
Yeah. That's how you can land bar spins with your hands off the bars, and you can't do that on a 26-inch bike.
100%. Yep. You could throw a hot bar and completely land with no hands on like a trick track bike, but if you try to do it on a fixed gear freestyle, you flop over.
I was at the park last Wednesday throwing just bunny hop, double bar, let go. And yeah, every time I wasn't catching him, I just would topple over. It was a funny feeling. Pizza was there. He witnessed it.
That's why I'm nodding my head. Yeah.
I was also trying bunny hop, bar rewind, just flat.
Whoa.
And I kind of was close. I think if I had a little bit of something, I could have done it.
Seems like a good way to jack your hands up.
Yeah, knock on wood. I didn't jam any fingers then. But we are at we're at time. So that's the end of the roundtable discussion with the Fixie High Council. Thank you all for being here. Let's go one by one with the special guests and give you a little shout out area. Kareem, shout outs.
Shout out to all my friends.
It's a good one.
That's it.
Mike Schmitt.
Shout out to Krills. Shout out to the return of Grind Bikes.
Ooh.
And
can't wait to see it.
Let's go. Yeah, and if we weren't all like aware, Mike Schmitt has a nifty shirt or crew neck on right now that says Grime on it. Maybe to indicate.
Is it a long sleeve or what is that?
It's like a moto jersey.
Ooh.
Oh, sick.
Ooh.
Deacon can mountain bike in it.
I know. There'd be more clips if it looked cooler, but it doesn't.
Mr. Mosher, shout outs.
Well, first of all, it's been an honor talking to all you guys. It's really, really cool. Just shout out to everybody keeping this alive. It's amazing that it just kept going. Lots of love.
Let's go. And Mr. Tyler.
Shout out SMC for single-handedly creating all fixed gear content in the world. And yeah, thanks for having me on. And if you want to try getting into road bikes and you want a made in the USA road bike, check out basiccycle.co. And shout out Jacob Ruff, because he's the GOAT. And everybody else is already on this call that I would shout out. So you guys.
Yeah.
But also, he's the nicest man in fixed gear for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody's nicer than Jacob Roth.
Why isn't he on this call?
He's too nice. He knew he was going to get heated.
He won't come on the podcast in general. I've tried.
That's because he's still in it. He doesn't want to be on the Fixie Vice Council until he retires.
Yeah, he's still riding. He's still getting clips all the time.
He doesn't have time to talk about it. He's doing it.
Yeah.
Jacob has to be. I don't know when Matt started, but it has to be between like Matt and Jacob for like people that have been writing and putting stuff out the most consistent. Obviously, Kareem, you've been writing a long time, but you're not.
I think Jacob started when he was in high school.
Yeah, I think Jacob has Matt beat.
I think he showed me a picture of his first setup.
No real breaks either.
No breaks.
Like, even when he was working 100-hour weeks, he was still getting out and.
God damn.
Yeah.
So he's the GOAT.
The longest running fixed gear freestyle rider.
Jacob Ruff.
Well, that's reason enough to be on the podcast. He just needed the accolade.
I've tried to get Jacob to talk on camera. He will not. So
what if you do?
You just have to do an audio podcast.
Yeah. It's
that's a good point. I'll propose it to him. Or Jacob, if you're listening right now, audio podcast, maybe.
Question mark?
Don't have to show your face. Let's shout out Master Bike Co. Let's shout out Grime Cycles. Let's shout out Basic Cycle Co. Even though Tyler already shouted it out. Let's shout out.
I might make a track bike, so
Oh, that'd be cool.
A track bike, not a fixed gear freestyle or track bike.
Did he misspeak?
Lamarche Bike Co. just did it, so you gotta do it also.
Whoa.
True.
And then
shout out Tom.
Shout out Tom.
Dude, hopefully,
Mosher's
fingers crossed.
YouTube channel, which is active again.
Oh,
Yeah, it's back. It's back. It taught me how to geospin. It taught me how to geospin.
I need a tutorial
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
I'll put out tutorials again. And you got it.
Let's
Yes.
All right.
I need to learn.
Thank you, listener. Oh wait, camera's here. Thank you, listener, for listening. Please subscribe. Check out the Patreon for bonus episodes and content. Hit up all these guys on Instagram. You'll see their names on or their Instagram handles on the screen right now. Join our Discord to talk to us, and see you in the next episode. Peace out.
Bye.
Like, comment, share, subscribe.
All that stuff.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/suckmycog.
Buy Suck My Cog merch.
Oh, yeah.
Mike designed
by Mike Schmitt.
Dude,